guys, if you've been watching StarCraft for like like Grant and I have for 10 years now, you'll remember Vortex and you'll be like, wait, wasn't he the awesome kid who like with his brother Lucifron tore through a bunch of brackets in 2011 through like 2014?
Yep.
Yes. And if you follow Warcraft 3, you're like, wait a minute, the same Vortex who just placed top 4 in the DreamHack Fall Warcraft 3 tournament? Yes. That Vortex almost qualified to ESL in 2 different events. I know, Grant, you and I casted one of his games, and we were joking about an esports pentathlon.
We did.
With some of these players.
I think we ended up on decathlon.
Yeah, because there were too many good games. We didn't want to leave out like Tetris 99 or anything.
I love Tetris 99, but it's too quick, and there's too many flashing lights, and it makes me feel a bit sick. That's how you can tell you're old, right? When like
I've only ever heard about it from Hajin, and she, of course, can sell anything. And I've heard she's incredible at it.
Yeah,
so
she's super
anyway,
good.
Enough about Vortex and Hajin and Tetris 99. Probably talk about this game. The reason Grant and I are feeling a little bit here is because the opening for this game has been so standard, guys. Hatch gas pools on both sides. This mirror matchup looking very. Wow, let me try that again. This matchup looking very mirror-y as we get into minute 3.
Yeah, some very, very tiny variations. One player made a drone before an Overlord, one player made a drone afterwards, but they end up at the same place with the same amount of money, pretty much. You can see SouLeer went into gas a little bit heavier, a little bit earlier. Does he have 3 in gas? Okay, he's now pulled out to just 1. So I think, oh no, other way around. Stephano has 1, SouLeer has 2. Yeah.
Correct.
So you can see he has a little bit more gas, but really, we're talking about very, very minor variances in the builds, except, oh no, both have gone for such quick thirds. 2 lings out on the map here for Stephano. Can tickle at this third, but really no damage will be done. Baneling Nest going down right now for SouLeer. Stephano adding his at the same time. And I mean, this is as cookie cutter, ZVZ, ZVZ, Omega versus Omega as you get.
The only big difference right now is that location of the third bases, of course, which doesn't matter a whole lot now, but could become very, very important later in the game. As both players drop down Baneling Nest's positioning is going to become more and more important, and it's actually going to be roughly equivalently equal for these players to defend these third bases. It's just going to be interesting to see how they actually decide to do so. The creep spread going to be slightly easier for SouLeer, whereas the rush distance going to be a little bit easier for Stephano, as there's just not quite as much of a rush distance between, or a run distance between the main base and that triangular third, as there is from the main base that SouLeer has taken, and the main base and the third base that SouLeer has taken. So, as you said though, Grant, just tiny variations right now. The biggest difference now is that SouLeer's cranking out a huge round of drones, whereas Stephano mixing in a few safety banelings, meaning SouLeer's going to be ahead economically, but only slightly.
Yeah, SouLeer has a couple more lings, but I mean, even still, we're at such similarities in the game, it's now going to come down to who can transition best, unless there's any major screw-ups with Ling Bane control here. SouLeer is sitting back relatively well. Stephano is going to catch an Overlord, which will supply block his opponent. That's a nice pick-off. That slows him down, forces out that extra 100 minerals. Even things like the lair now, you can see 10 seconds later in a complete mirror matchup here. So SouLeer only with the 4 drones on his third. Stephano only with a couple, but I think he's got a few more that will be popping soon. He's making a big round of drones right now. Roach Roaring's going down for both as well. And even now, nearly 5 minutes into the game, Creighton, mirror.
You know, Grant, I love how intricate CVZ is. These players are trying to get the tightest reads on their opponent, trying to get the most scouting information they can. As we said, SouLeer's +1 a couple seconds ahead, but his Roach Warren a couple seconds behind. So there could be this really weird situation in which Stephano attacks with an upgrade disadvantage, but more Roaches, and SouLeer is able to defend a little bit better. But of course, all of it at the end of the day comes down to positioning, comes down to army control, and if these Banelings can get some big kills on drones, that'd be... Oh my god, this play from SouLeer so close there. What a save. Woo! My cardiologist would be so mad at me, Grant. My heart stopping for a moment there, but SouLeer able to save his drones. Woo, that was close.
That was, I actually feel like if Stephano had manually detonated there, he could have killed maybe 2, 3, even 4 more. A couple more drones will go down for a total of 4. There's now 5 been killed in total this game. That's not bad at all. Of course, Stephano did throw away a lot of lings here, but behind this, look at the army supplies right now. Stephano is taking a huge round of Roaches. He's already got 9, producing 10 more, whereas there's only going to be 4 on the map right now for SouLeer. SouLeer needs to see this, and he needs to see it bloody soon, because it is coming his way within the next couple of minutes with +1. And if he is unprepared, Stephano might be able to get the jump and go for the throat here.
Man, I think we casted 2 ZVZs yesterday, Grant, both in the LATAM region, and both of them had a game that looked like this, where one player went really heavy on roaches, and the other player, I was going to say went for Spire, but SouLeer actually cancels his Spire after seeing all these roaches. So SouLeer is actually going to do something different. Both Latin American players committed to their Spire play and hoped their Mutalisks would help them defend. SouLeer realizing that that might not actually happen and investing more into these roaches. And again, we see +1 finished up for SouLeer, but Stephano wisely going to wait until his own +1 is finished. His speed way ahead, his roach count way superior. Unless SouLeer can pull out some sort of miracle concave here with a great defense, things are looking so much better for Stephano right now, especially with those 2 Ravagers.
Yeah, Ravager's going to offer a lot of DPS here if the bios can connect, and the first one and second one does. But the main thing right now is roach speed. He's going to be able to reinforce, not that much slower than his opponent, considering the defensive advantage here from being at the side of the map for SouLeer. Stephano moving in so decisively, takes an incredible fight, and the supplies right now 90 to 44 in army supply. Stephano charges forward, looking to end the game. He's able to take down a lot of roaches and be able to get the queen as well, stop those injects. And I think, unfortunately for SouLeer, the Frenchman just too strong in this game.
Surprising MVP upgrade right now has been roach speed. We said at the beginning of the game, Grant, these upgrades just have a couple seconds difference between them. So if one player is able to find that very narrow timing window, GG, there it is. Stephano does finally close out the game. If one of those players was able to find one of those very narrow timing windows for their upgrades, they would have a great chance at moving forward. And actually, the only difference between those 2 armies, besides the army size, was that Stephano had roach speed, which allowed him to move further into the natural. Obviously, what SouLeer wants to do is attack on the top of the ramp, right? So we can get a concave, and Stephano has to fight up a ramp into a concave, and SouLeer can pick down a couple of those roaches as his reinforcements come in to maintain superior DPS. You want a concave for your roaches, for those of you who don't play a lot of ZVZ. You want a concave for your roaches so that all your roaches are firing 100% of the time. If you have a ball of roaches, then the roaches in the back aren't firing, which means your army supply might be 80, but you only have half of that attacking at any time. So Stephano's speed allowed him to move up that ramp a little bit more closely, put himself in a nice position between the natural and the main, and get just a closing out win. I think even without speed, he would have won that, but speed, with the unsung hero of that game, allowing Stephano to really close things out strongly. Yeah,
his target fire as well is exceptional. Stephano knows where to fight different packs of units. He was able to pick off everything he needed to efficiently and effectively, and that just meant he can take more cost-efficient fights. Stephano, and that comes with experience and just being a very, very good player. And Stephano is, even these days where he's not considered full-time, he does study, and studies like very difficult computery stuff, technical. He's still able to qualify for these events and usually get to the bracket stage and make a good amount of money. We're not talking 2014 Stephano money, where he was literally on top of the world, but he's making a great living for himself, and it just feels great to watch him do his thing. It's never gone away, you know, that hype for Stephano that so many of us have.
Watching Stephano play roaches, just something about it, always amazing. Like I don't know if it's nostalgia or if it's just his absolute command of a roach army, but oh man, it's just great. It's just great. Well, let's intro our players here. Grant, spawning in the bottom right-hand side of Death Aura LE, one of our most distinguished and oldest maps in the pool now.
Yeah.
It's our red Zerg player from Team Exxon and Spain. It's SouLeer.
And his opponent in the top left, representing Gamers Origin and France. He is one of the greatest players to ever touch the game, a multiple-time Premier champion, the Blue Zerg player, Stephano. So, this game, it is going to be hatch first all around once again to get things started with some macro based play. Stephano, he has been known to throw in some aggression, some early all-ins. I don't think he's like a 12 pull with drones kind of guy like you'll see Raynor do from time to time, who's a very aggressive ZVZ player. Stephano, I think he looks for mid-game timings, I would say, specifically with roaches, and sometimes I see him play a bit of Spire, but I think he's a roach guy. Hatchcast pool here for both players, and I mean, just look at that production tab. Couldn't be any more identical if it tried.
You're absolutely correct, though, and that's an important point to make. A lot of people who maybe casually watch StarCraft know these players' personalities or know about them or have seen a famous photo of Stephano getting arrested in a hotel room in Europe somewhere. You may know that, but a lot of us don't actually keep a very close bead on what these players' play styles look like. And StarCraft is one of those cool games where if you're a top pro or you watch a bunch of StarCraft, if you watched a game with no names on it, you might be able to guess a little bit at like who's playing just based on the play style and based on the movements. And Stephano's one of those players that almost certainly, as you said, Grant, looks for a lot of strong mid-game timings. I rarely see him 12th pool, go for just straight Ling Bane. It's been true since 2014, and I think it's still true today. Stephano is a player who's comfortable on Roach Ravager and will do his best to get up to a large army and showcase his style, which is this massive economic excellence that he has and this macro precision that he's so good.
Yeah, and he's not a player that's afraid to go late. During his era of dominance, he played a lot of Swarm Hosts and things like that as well. Very well known for Roaches against Protoss, but of course he was able to play Swarm Hosts. He's played Nidus in the past. He's capable of everything. It's just a sign of an incredibly good, successful player. Now, once again, we see identical builds here as in Game 1. Both players just opting for a very, very quick third after their Queen's start. Ling speed coming in for both. Have they both pulled out of gas? They're probably back in by this point anyway. Okay, so SouLeer only with 2. Stephano getting a little bit more gas here, but he went into it a little bit later, so you can see it's really very even.
Yeah, SouLeer, I think, prioritizing getting in the gas later so he gets Baneling Nest down just a little bit sooner. Quick update for you, Grant. Chat is letting us know that apparently Stephano is working full-time now as a web developer, not studying anymore. So good on him.
Yeah.
Man, it's so cool to see StarCraft as a very mature esport where the players have achieved such a high degree of technical perspicacity that they can work full-time and manage to play this game at the highest level. It's so impressive to see these guys who are counting on skills they have from before and continuing to develop those StarCraft skills today. So like we said, SouLeer investing just a little bit more, leaving one of those drones off of gas so we could eke out his Baneling Nest a little bit sooner, but I think that's just going to be defensive. I really don't see SouLeer moving across with just Ling Bane. If he does, Grant, I'd be really surprised.
One thing I will say is 2 games in a row now, SouLeer has sacked an Overlord, not on purpose. One of his early Overlords has gone down. Stephano not making that mistake. He keeps his Overlords just a little bit further back and is able to keep them alive a little bit longer. SouLeer not moving out with his Queens, maybe. It sounds so minor, but in these mirror matchups where everything, as we said, has been down to milliseconds, that extra 100 minerals is a difference and does come into play here. Stephano now running in with a couple of Banelings. He's going to be able to get into the mineral line. This is so many low workers. We see 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 go down immediately. Oh, this is really, really bad start here for SouLeer.
Yeah, great. That's exactly what Stephano wanted to happen, right? You send 2 Banelings in. Ideally, well, not quite exactly. Ideally, both of them go off. Remember, it takes 2 Baneling shots to kill a drone until the Banelings have that +2 melee attack upgrade. So you want to send both Banelings in, explode them on the drone line, and whatever they get, they get. But of course, having a couple extra Lings behind that for Stephano allows him to clean up all the drones that are almost dead. And 6 kills, again, can't be overstated, Grant. That's more than 10% of his workforce right now. And his economy is going to plummet just a little bit as it's going to force him to crank out more drones at the expense of not making the roaches that I think he was hoping to build right now. Stephano going for Carapace instead of +1 missile attacks this game, indicating that he might stay on a bit more of a hybrid style, cranking out more Lings than you might otherwise expect.
Yeah, I think Stephano is going to be very, very aggressive very soon. There's no lair for Stephano. He hasn't started it yet. He's making just units right now and a lot of Overlords so we can really build that supply up. We're going to see a lot more workers go down here, Creighton. Okay, only 3 to start things off. Stephano being very careful with his units. Doesn't want to throw any away unnecessarily, but another great scout. And a Baneling coming in and just a run by here. 8, 9 workers now going down, and this is just getting worse and worse here for SouLeer. Now Stephano is making tons of roaches, 40 supply to 10 in terms of army, and SouLeer needs a miracle.
You know, Grant, I feel like at this point I need to call my Italian friend Luca, who's going to come in and tell us to de-supply. 48 to 18 right now. I mean, Stephano, just everything going right for him, everything going wrong for SouLeer. Grant, if you look back on this game, if you were watching the replay, can you pinpoint 1 or 2 things that really, really sealed the deal here for Stephano? 2 mistakes that SouLeer made, maybe?
It's the Banelings getting in initially, I think, is the one major one. 6 workers that have to be replaced. Just meant he didn't have extra Lings and Banes to defend against the follow-up push, which was another good chunk of his workers. We've seen 15 go down, which is just, it's so much time, it's so much money to replace all of these. We're talking, what, 750 minerals plus the lava, and now Stephano moving in. He didn't get his lair, so there is no rope speed or anything, but he is just able with pure numbers to overwhelm his opponent. And unfortunately for SouLeer, a rough start to the tournament. Still, this is one of the toughest matchups in this group. So there's a lot of hope left, but GG, Stephano takes